Hey, I'm Phil Heimlich, and we call this podcast the Radical Middle. I'd like to talk to you about voter fraud, or I might call it the myth of voter fraud. Now, in the 2016 election, Donald Trump won the election, but he lost the popular vote by about 3 million. But he said that he would have won the popular vote, except that 3 million illegals voted in the election. There is zero evidence of this. Now, there was a study, in fact, that looked at the votes that were cast in 42 jurisdictions in the 2016 election. Out of 23.5 million votes, there were only 30 incidents of non-citizens voting, which is 0.0001% of total votes cast. In 2022, Georgia audited its election, and they couldn't identify even one instance of a non-citizen casting a ballot. The Associated Press has studied every potential voter fraud case in battleground states in the 2020 election. It found minimal fraud and none that even came close to changing the outcome of the election. Even a report commissioned by Trump's own campaign found no widespread election fraud. According to one voting expert at the Brennan Center for Justice, quote, both domestic and foreign folks are spreading these lies in order to undermine faith in American elections, some of them with the hope of overturning the result if they're not happy about it. Well, President Trump is now using this so-called election fraud to justify the federal government essentially taking over our elections. Election fraud is what's known as a solution in search of a problem. But the fraud isn't in our elections. The fraud is in the claims of election fraud. I'm Phil Heimlich, and this is the Radical Middle.